and he's from the Europe Direct Relay. Here in Nicosia, here in Nicosia. Just getting that. We were talking about it before, I got it right then, but as soon as the microphone opens, of course, the brain turns to mush. But there we are. And just tell us a little bit about what that's all about, Dimitrios. What are you for?
Well, basically, we're talking about a line for European citizens, which is a service of the European Commission from Directorate General of Communications of the European Commission, who has introduced a more effective way, let's say, to brings Europe closer to its citizens. Europe Direct is one of the services which provides general information to the general public.
So that people can actually learn what Europe is all about.
Exactly.
In the past, I suppose, this was one of the criticisms that was levelled at the European Union. It all took place miles and miles away in Brussels and Strasbourg and places like that, and nobody knew what was going on. But this is an attempt now to try to get over that so that people feel part of it, which they are, but maybe they don't feel it, yeah?
Yeah. They have already started to realize how the European EU bodies and the EU institutions have started to operate, as to move on to the next level, which is
right.
Introduce them to the discussion, to the debate that's been ongoing within the European Union, and that's why the European Commission has pointed out after the European Constitution failure,
yes,
they just started to implement a plan, which is Plan D, the so-called Plan D, which actually is based on 3 elements, which is dialogue, democracy, and debate.
Right.
And Europe Direct plays a crucial role to that as a way to promote debate and give ground for discussion, for further discussion.
Now, you mentioned the constitution business. This, of course, came to a grinding halt when various referenda, I think it was the French, was it, and the Dutch?
It was the French and the Dutch.
Decided that they didn't want the referendum to go. They didn't want the constitution to go ahead.
Exactly.
And Europe, I think, felt the people who sort of in charge in Europe felt that perhaps they hadn't been putting over their message effectively enough, and this is why it failed. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly the point. But now they're trying to implement a debate discussion about the future of Europe,
right.
About the Europe what we want, and Europe Direct is doing what we're doing is actually try to give through events, through various through publications, through other means of communication, to come closer to the European Union citizens,
right.
As to promote them and realize that, look, this is what we're doing, this is what the European Union does, and this is how we should work.
And of course, I suppose it's very useful. I mean, if you have a problem with a municipality or a ministry or something here in Cyprus, you can pick up a phone and ring somebody and say, what do I do? Whereas with Europe, if it's in Brussels or whatever, you feel a bit more remote. But if you have a link here that you can pick up a phone and say, listen, what can I do about such and such, that brings it that little bit closer to home, doesn't it?
Yeah, of course.
And this is one of the things you're trying to do, I suppose, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. We accept inquiries from the European that regards the European Union from the citizens, and what we do is actually to trying to promote and give an immediate answer to their questions, and seek for the relevant publications to
right.
to provide to all citizens.
Right.
And this is so far the outcome was very, very good. Cypriots and of course other European citizens who reside in Cyprus have been wanting to know more about Europe.
So you're getting a lot of inquiries. People
yes,
are ringing up and trying to find out what's going on, what they can do. I said, what do people generally want to know about the European Union? I mean, what sort of questions do they ask you?
Well, the hot potato, if we
right.
can call it that way, would be funding.
Right.
Everybody wanting to know more about funding, yeah. And how they get a grant from the European Union, and how they get any sort of money from the European Union. The other thing is that education, like a question. Was my son, my daughter is going to study in another member state. What should I do? What are the procedures? We provide them the information instantly, like for instance, where to find the information, like websites and all that, or if it's something which is really, really related to it, we either contact the local Europe Direct network of the country of another member state. Let's say if you have someone who wants to study, a Cypriot student who wants to study in the UK, well, we contact the Europe Direct in the UK, or in the representation in the UK, or someone from the European Commission, and it gives us the answers.
Yeah. So you've always got someone to turn to. You've always got the resource to find the answer. You've never been stumped for an answer yet, have you?
No. The thing is that the good thing with Europe Direct service is that apart from the local angle that we have in Cyprus, we have 4 already. In Nicosia, Larnaca, Limassol and Paphos. There's also the Europe Direct headquarters in Brussels, and they have a free phone number, the 0800 6789 1011, where people can call free of charge and be served in their own language.
Right.
And of course there are some information centers within the European Union. There's almost 700 Europe Direct information centers.
700?
Almost, yeah.
That's amazing. I was thinking perhaps 1 or 2 in each country or whatever.
No, it's more than that.
They're everywhere, yeah?
They're all over the European Union.
So it sounds like a very valuable resource for people, because I suppose one of the big problems is ignorance, isn't it? People not knowing what's happening. And the European Union is becoming more and more important in our lives in so many ways, because it affects the way things happen day to day here in Cyprus, doesn't it? I mean, the laws that we have to obey now are very much common across Europe, isn't that the case?
Exactly.
So you need to know where you stand.
Of course, and that's what we're there for, just to help the citizens find where they stand.
Right. And you've got a new website.
We've got a new nationwide. We've got a nationwide number.
Right.
Telephone number, which is the 77 77 6000.
Right.
And our website, which will soon be on air, would be www.europedirectcyprus.com.
Right. And once that's up and running, they can get all sorts of information from that, and that'll, of course.
And they can also submit a question online.
Right.
And get an answer immediately. Depending, of course, on the answer.
Right.
On the question they will receive. In cases where we have some questions which will be very difficult to answer, so in that case we send them to Brussels, and we get an information the sooner.
Right. So whatever information you want, you can either get it over the phone,
exactly,
or once the website's up and running through that method, or ring Brussels direct.
Yeah, of course.
Which that sounds quite an exciting thing too, just picking up a phone and getting a free phone call to Brussels.
Of course.
Yeah. So what do you see as the future of your office now? Where will it go from here now? You're giving information. Do you think it's going to become more and more important to the people of Cyprus as time goes on?
I think so, because the European Commission is pointing a lot to Europe Direct. It is a new initiative. It started in Cyprus, just for the records. It has started in September 2005. So ever since, it's been an ongoing process that people are more and more learning about Europe Direct and trying to learn more about Europe. Of course, as Europe develops, the same happens with the questions. There are more questions that are being created, and is everywhere. Every single day there's something going on in the European Union. Yeah.
Now, of course, when you travel through Europe, in sort of mainland Europe, there is a feeling growing there now of being European. It's something that nobody ever thought could possibly happen. I mean, especially people in Britain who were very, very sceptical about the whole thing, and lots of them still are. But there's more of this feeling, I find, of being part of Europe. Do you think this will spread to Cyprus, and do you think it's already spreading to Cyprus? Are people starting to feel like European citizens as well as being Cypriot citizens?
I think so. There is a general notion that we are Europeans now, and from my constant communication with the public, they were coming like, some people ring and say, look, I'm a Cypriot, I'm European. That's the good thing, and that's a positive thing, that they're feeling more Europeans compared to the previous years.
Yeah. So in other words, this is getting more and more the case year by year.
Exactly. And they feel more Europeans, and they say, look, I'm a European, I'm Cypriot, and I want to know my rights on the X thing or the Y thing.
Yeah, and this is something I suppose that must please you in your
yes,
role.
Of course.
Yeah, because do you? I mean, it's a question. I mean, people think that maybe at some time in the future we're going to be having a European state. It'll be Europe. You'll be European. You'll still be Belgian. You'll still be French, but you'll carry a European passport. And do you think that's going to come in the near future, or do you think it's going to be a long time before?
Well, to my personal view, I think so, that this might happen in the future. That then you're becoming European, but without losing your national background.
Yes, yeah.
You'll be British and European, or you'll be Greek and European.
I was going to say, it's very difficult to say to a Greek that he's got to be European but not Greek. I can't imagine that actually happening, and I can't imagine a Britain doing it either. So, but that'll be the case. It'll be like being in the UK and being proud of coming from Newcastle or whatever, but you're still British. In this, you'll still be European and British as well.
And there's this notion overall that you're traveling, after the mobility, you're able to travel and work in another country, in another member state, without visas, without work permits and all that. And this is really becoming more handy, and you get the notion that you're in your own country.
Yeah.
Your own homeland.
Especially if you're using the same currency. As the euro, which a couple of times I've been to Europe and used the euro and moved across borders. It's a completely different feeling.
Exactly.
It really is.
It's quite handy.
Yeah, indeed. So, Dimitrios, remind us about how people can get hold of you at your office, the number and all that.
Of course, first of all, through the nationwide phone line, through 77 6000. If somebody's calling from Nicosia district, it will be assisted by me on this behalf, as the office of the Nicosia Relay. And respectively, if you're calling from Larnaca, from the Larnaca colleague of mine, Limassol and Paphos, the same. Of course, we have an email address for the Nicosia website for the Nicosia Relay is EU Direct Nicosia at ccci.org.cy. Of course, you can visit us. You can pay us a visit. We are in the building of Cyprus Chamber of Commerce and Industry.
Right.
That's
the Kaveh building.
That's Kaveh building, yeah.
Just down from the Demstar traffic lights.
Exactly.
Most people would know it from that description. Yeah.
Next to Demstar, that's what we are on the ground floor. It's on the street. There's a big sign on the street, so you can't miss it. So, of course, they can fax us through the number is 22 66 10 44 and send their inquiries.
Right, so there's no excuse about staying ignorant about Europe anymore.
Of course.
All the information is there. Dimitrios, thanks very much indeed for
being
with us
tonight.
Thank you very much. It's fascinating talking to you, and it'll be interesting to see how things develop over the next few months and years, and I hope you'll be here to tell us about it as it does.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much indeed. Right, a bit of music now, and this is Ronan Keating and Lost for Words, which I hope will never be here on Round and About.